Hello, everybody. Eli Shepherd here. Been a while since we spoke. I wanted to talk about briefly what I stand for and what this flag behind me stands for. Ultimately, to a lot of people, it stands to a lot of things. But to me, mainly, it stands for liberty, the most beautiful word that has ever existed in the human language, liberty. Now, I'm proud to be an American. I thank God every day I'm an American. I'm proud that that's my flag. That's the most beautiful flag in the world. And Hong Kong would agree with us. If you've seen the protests lately, they want what we have. They are flying the American flag. They think Americans are the greatest thing in the world. I've been watching it. I've been researching their protests. One of the main things that they want is the right to defend themselves. They want a Second Amendment. And of course, their government is not about to let them have one because they know the true history behind the Second Amendment. And the reason we have the Second Amendment here is to protect ourselves ultimately from a tyrannical, oppressive government, being our own government, if it ever gets out of control. That's the wonderful thing about America. The Founding Fathers put the keys of freedom right there in the Constitution of the United States. If we ever needed it, as Thomas Jefferson once said, the beauty of the Second Amendment is it will never have to be used until it's needed. So that's exactly why we have the Second Amendment. Now, why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because I love America. I love freedom. I love that flag. I love everything about this country, and I love having guns. I love being able to defend myself. Red flag laws are just the start of unconstitutional laws that we're already starting to see all around the nation. I encourage every state government in the union to declare every federal restriction on gun laws unconstitutional. Think about how important the Second Amendment is to our freedom. If we didn't have the Second Amendment, how could we enforce any other right we have in the Bill of Rights? If I didn't have a gun, do you think that the police would care? And don't get me wrong, I do support the police, but let's be realistic here. Do you think that the police would care at all about having a warrant to bust in my home? Well, they could do that if I didn't have a gun to defend myself. They wouldn't have to legally go through a procedure because they could just take a SWAT team, bust in my home, shoot me down, plant some drugs on me and say, oh, sorry. But they're a whole lot less likely to do that if they're afraid I might have a gun in the house to shoot back. Now, once again, I'm not bashing police. I know a lot of police are good, decent people that actually do try to help the community. I'm just being realistic here. It's a good thing to have the Second Amendment. We're already seeing the erosion of the 21st century. Liberty in the 21st century is already being eroded all over the world. In China, well, they've never really had liberty, but they've got the facial recognition scanners that determine their credit. If you misbehave, your credit goes down. You're not allowed to travel. Ultimate authority goes to government there. Same thing is happening in Sweden, where I believe it's 3,500 people, when I last checked about 10 months ago, have ID scanner chips implanted into their wrist. So it unlocks their door for them. It determines their credit system for them, how much money they have, all in a chip in the wrist. Sound familiar? Number of the beast, right? And I'm not even a Christian, but I know my Christian fans out there that read the Bible recognize the mark of the beast. Anyway, it's all coming down the road to one ultimate goal: tyranny. We as a society in the United States are the last group of people on earth that are truly free. And now with the passage of this red flag laws, we are dangerously close, my friends, to either a civil war or to losing our freedom. And this civil war won't be between North and South like the last one was. This civil war will be between people that believe we should listen to the Constitution of the United States. So it'll be against states that believe in the Constitution and states that believe in full authority of the federal government to do whatever they please in the name of security. That will be the new civil war. And I am on the side of the Constitution of the United States, always and forever. Wherever that flag goes, As long as it stands for what's right, and I always believe it will, I'll be with it. And I'll always be with the Constitution. I'll always fight for the Constitution. I encourage everyone, write to your congressmen, your senators, protest. Protest these red flag laws. They are unconstitutional legislation. It's dangerous legislation. It's immoral legislation. Look, I understand mass shootings are horrible things. They're bad. I don't like to see innocent people die any more than you do. I'm not heartless and cruel. But as Thomas Jefferson said, I prefer to live in a dangerous freedom before I'll live in a peaceful slavery. What do you prefer? Dangerous freedom or peaceful slavery? Because that's the choice you're going to have to make. They're coming up very soon. And like I said, I am going to fight for the side of the Constitution of the United States. So I prefer dangerous freedom. I've already chosen my side. Make no mistake, there is a line being drawn in the sand out there, whether most Americans see it or not. It is going to happen. I hope it's not violent. I would like to solve it peacefully with protest and constitutional rights and things of that matter. But who knows if that's going to happen or not. But I am encouraging everyone to take the peaceful route. I'm not encouraging violence by any means. I'm actually trying to avoid violence in the future. Write to your congressmen, write to your senators, protest. Go out in the streets and exercise your First Amendment right to peacefully protest, peacefully being the key word there. Peacefully protest. Go against these red flag law legislations. It's dangerous to the United States. It's dangerous to liberty. And like I said, you already have every country all over the world losing their freedoms. Australia gave up their gun rights in the 90s after a mass school shooting, I believe. The United Nations went down to Australia after they willingly, lovingly gave up their guns and watched them be pushed in a pile by the United Nations and burned. You can still look up video footage of it on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. Just like in Sweden, I couldn't believe they were lovingly allowing these chips to be put into their hands so they can be tracked and traced and scanned. And then talking about it like it was the greatest thing in the world. They said, oh, it's wonderful, it's futuristic, it'll help us. Oh, we love and trust our government, we trust authority. This is exactly what they were saying. I know I'm making fun of them, but that was their exact words. I'm telling you, the words of a dying society, the last words of a dying society are always, we trust authority, never trust authority. We're Americans, we don't trust authority. That's why we're Americans. As Benjamin Franklin said, the first duty of every citizen should be to question authority. Always. The Founding Fathers knew what would happen if we gave up our rights. They knew what would happen if we didn't have a Second Amendment. Why do you think we have it in the first place? If you read the Federalist Papers, page number 48, I believe it is, James Madison even says, he even gives an explanation for why we have the Second Amendment, why we have gun rights in this country. And his wordage was, if the federal government overstepped its, if the federal government overstepped its authority, then the people would form plans of resistance and take up arms. That's what the Second Amendment is all about. Resisting government, federal authority if it oversteps its constitutional restrictions, which it's quickly doing. We are the last bastion of freedom, of liberty, of justice, of equality in the world. And I promise you, it will all go away overnight if you allow the federal government to decide who gets to have weapons and who doesn't. Don't let that happen. Don't be a happy slave like the people in Sweden are. Be a free American like Hong Kong thinks you are. Long live liberty. Long live the United States. Long live the Republic.